Penguin Random House Audio presents The Magnificent Lives of Marjorie Post by Allison Pataki. Read for you by Barrie Kreinik. I am not the richest woman in the world. There are others better off than I am. The only difference is that I do more with mine. I put it to work. Marjorie Merriweather Post. Beauty is truth, truth beauty. That is all you know on earth, and all ye need to know. John Keats. Prologue. Mar-a-Lago, Palm Beach, Florida, 1968. Mrs. Post, the President and First Lady are here to see you. Thank you, Frank. You can show them in. I smooth the ripples of my slate blue skirt and rise, my spine going straight, my heart speeding to a gallop. From across the room, I catch my reflection in the mirror, the thick glint of diamonds at my neck, my ears, my wrists, eyes of vibrant blue, bright and alert, even if surrounded by an etching of fine lines wrought by my many full years. Long silver waves of hair pulled back, tidy and upswept. Oh, and this room, this grand room, its sprawling confines pierced by windows that open out over lush lawns and sapphire sea. Yes, it's fine indeed. I've done some job on this place. I clear my throat, allowing just the subtlest of nods. I was right to request that the meeting take place here, rather than at the White House. The click of footsteps on the stone floor, and I know that the President approaches. I wonder if he suspects anything, if he knows about the offer I am going to make him. Mrs. Post, the President and First Lady are here to see you. It could have been any number of presidents being announced by my staffer. These commanders-in-chief keep changing every 4 to 8 years. But I remain at my post to greet and host them all. I blink, and I'm a girl of 14, dressed in bright blue, bandying with Alice Roosevelt at a White House ball. And then there I am, in command of a castle floating between cloud and sea, a space grander than anything my friends the Vanderbilts or Windsors have ever enjoyed. I am Lady Bountiful, ladling soup to women with as much hunger in their eyes as in their sunken frames. The prism of memory shifts yet again, and there I am, crouching low, surrounded by the murdered Tsar's treasures in a dark Moscow warehouse. Next, I'm racing through torpedo-laced waters, the Nazis nipping at my wake, the RAF bombers overhead ripping the sky with angry thunder. Then I am in my library, the perfume of summer blooms intoxicating as I greet a tall, timid, big-eyed brunette, doing my best to put the young Mrs. Jackie Kennedy at ease. But all of that is in the past. I blink again, coming back to the present, as this new President and First Lady cross the threshold of my living room and stride toward me. Lady Bird Johnson is rose-cheeked and smiling as she extends her arms for a hug. "Oh, Mrs. Post, how wonderful to be here. Every time I step into one of your homes, it's like I've stepped into some beautiful Neverland." I smile, returning the First Lady's greeting. I may live like an empress, but I've never asked an emperor to pick up the bill. And since I've never had a crown for which to answer, I suppose you might say I'm that much better off. I turn next to her husband, eager to make my offer that could change the lives of these presidents. I've changed so many lives already. And I've changed your life, too. I know that as a certainty. How can that be, you may ask, when you do not even know my name? Who am I? Well, the answer is, and has always been, that I am Mrs. Marjorie Merriweather Post. Part 1. Chapter 1. Battle Creek, Michigan, winter 1891. I was raised in religion, but it was not God who loomed largest over my girlhood and its earliest memories. That was Charles William Post, Charlie, or simply C.W. to those who knew him best. To me, he was only ever Papa. He cut no particularly imposing figure, what with his narrow frame standing at just over 6 feet tall, and his fine blue-eyed smile. But the man molded my world, and then he went on and changed everybody else's as well. You might say the same about my education, too, for although I went to school for all of my girlhood, it was on Papa's lap that I did the learning that would shape me. How Papa could spin a story, building worlds in my young mind until I came to believe that just about anything was possible. Because to Papa, anything was. There were the tales of the tall Springfield lawyer whom Papa admired, a family friend by the name of Mr. Abe Lincoln, who taught himself to read as a boy in a drafty log hut with nothing more than a tattered Bible, and yet somehow found himself in charge of the White House. Of course, Papa, and then I, knew all the presidents, but I loved the stories about Mr. Lincoln the best. Papa had made this singular man a friend while they lived in Springfield, after they'd both sprung up from nothing but their own grit and the fertile frontier soil. Oh, but there were other good stories, too. Papa's words had me forging across the Great Divide on the back of a mule, just as he'd done as a young man with his brother, my Uncle Cal, the pair of them sifting for gold amid the red mud and the pines. He had me battling Chicago's Great Fire, or else waiting out a night of dust storms in Oklahoma, shivering beneath a heap of scratchy wagon canvas as the coyote yips mixed with the wind skittering against a flimsy tin roof. He talked of pianos that didn't need human fingers to play, and buggies that didn't need horses to pull them. It always seemed to me that by the time I arrived in the world, Papa had tried his hand at pretty much everything. He'd been an inventor in California, a salesman in Illinois, a farmer in Nebraska, a rancher in the wild Oklahoma Territory. Success had come in fickle fits and bursts, with plenty of failure mixed in, but he'd managed to wed the sweetheart of his youth in the midst of it all. My mother, Ella Letitia Merriweather, a pale beauty with gray eyes and a reserved demeanor, came from a far more affluent family, but the same Springfield roots. The borders of my young mind and memory can barely contain Papa. Fine-featured, with an easy charm and smarts to best anyone else in the room, a sharp humor and a kind voice, but then sick, suddenly and frightfully sick. It was this sickness that fueled our journey that winter, a journey that would end in a way that none of us, not even Papa, the incorrigible dreamer, could have possibly conceived. Battle Creek welcomed us with a wall of cold air, the sort of air that stuns, needling your cheeks and causing the breath to stick in your nostrils on the way in. Beside me, Papa leaned on Mother to limp off the Michigan Central Line train car and onto the frigid platform. After weeks of travel, we had arrived, and for that I was grateful, but I feared that our stop might be Papa's final destination. "Your father is near the end of mortals," Mother had whispered to me on our long journey up from Texas, both her words and the skin around her lips pulling tight with worry. Our train car had rocked back and forth in a doleful rhythm as swaths of ice-slicked farmland rolled past our frosted window. Papa groaned where he lay in the berth, the extra blankets doing little to warm his thin, trembling frame. I didn't know if perhaps he'd heard Mother's words and was trying to respond, or if he was simply giving voice to the pain that gripped his failing body. I also did not understand why Mother couldn't put a tender hand on him or lean close to offer some soothing words of comfort, anything to lend him just a tiny bit of warmth. But then...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?